Trisha, my sexy, beautiful wife, was especially playful this evening. As we sat on the couch after dinner, she jumped on my lap and started kissing and hugging me, and was much more playful than usual. My name is Jacobe, but my friends call me Jay. I fell in love with Trisha over 5 years ago and just celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary last month. We met right after I left the Marine Corps. While serving in the Marine Corps, I became seriously interested in strength training and self-defense. For the past year, I have worked as a drill instructor, helping new recruits become tough, field-ready soldiers. It was fun, but I wasn't destined to serve in the military my whole life. I had plans, and after I got out, I started my own gym and fitness trainer rental business with the money I saved from my 4 years of service. The business grew quickly, and I devoted all my time to growing the business and helping others. Being 195 centimeters tall and 115 kilograms of muscle mass, I gave clients the confidence that I could help them transform their body. I loved watching people come in unsure of themselves and watching them grow into confident, strong people 6 months later. Trisha was the sister of one of my clients, and we hit it off immediately. We make a funny couple, since Trisha is 165 centimeters tall, 30 centimeters shorter, and 65 kilograms lighter. Weighing just 50 kilograms, she was thin, frail, and innocent at the age of 22. I was 26 years old at the time and had much more life experience than this innocent little girl. She wasn't into working out, but we enjoyed doing something together every free minute. We started dating, and our romance turned into marriage a year later. Our sexual connection was strong, and we enjoyed our love-making and sex. Honestly, she was the best lover I've ever been with. Trisha has always been attentive, loving, and relaxed in bed. She satisfied all my needs, and I loved her with all my heart. Her playfulness and innocence are 2 things I adore about her. Someone who met her for the first time might think she was a ditzy or dumb blonde, but very attractive. Don't get me wrong, she is very smart, but she lacks common sense, which I find endearing at times. As you can imagine, being a fitness trainer with a strong body and good looks to match, I constantly receive offers from the girls I train. I mean, with these ladies, it's a constant struggle to keep everything under control. I even had to install video cameras throughout the gym just to protect myself from any allegations of sexual assault from one of the girls I was turning down. Sometimes they got angry when I rejected their advances. I heard about some vindictive woman making false statements, and I needed to protect my business and my reputation. I installed remote control cameras in my home so Trisha could peek in on me whenever she pleased. Trisha knows how dedicated I am to her, and I will make sure to let her know how much I love her. Sexually, my size and strength may be too much for her, but she never complained. Financially, we are in good shape, as my business is doing well, and Trisha works as a real estate agent to earn extra income. Last Sunday afternoon, we were relaxing in the living room with a bottle of wine, and Trisha was more playful than usual. She kept giggling and jumped on my lap, kissing me and acting like a high school girl. I had to admit that I liked the attention when she acted like that. She always knows how to make me feel loved. Our relationship took a very fast turn when the reason for her playfulness and excessive love was revealed. Running her hands through my hair, she gave me that smile that always melts my heart and said calmly, "Honey, Brian is taking me to dinner next Friday night. You're okay with that, right?" It actually took me over a minute to process what she had just said. I was sure I had heard her wrong and just enjoyed that wonderful smile. When I didn't answer, she asked again in a sweet voice, "You don't mind, do you?" "Trisha, what are you asking me? I'm sorry, I do not understand." "Oh, silly. Brian from the office asked me to dinner next Friday, and I kind of said yes to him." Now, my mind heard what she said and understood the meaning, but was sure that I had misunderstood what she was asking. "Are you asking me if you can go out to dinner with Brian next week? How was the date?" "It's not really a date, just dinner and maybe a movie." I sat there with my mouth open for a long time, not believing that my faithful wife, the love of my life, was asking me if it was okay for her to go on a date with another guy. "Trisha, this is the definition of a date. Do you want to do this? Dating another guy? He's such a nice guy and we get along so well in the office. He makes me laugh and feel good all the time. I don't see it as a date. More like an after-work drink, but in this case, dinner and a movie. I felt dizzy. Of course, she could understand what she was asking here, but I don't think she understood. Trisha, you know, I have never dated another woman or even thought about it. How can you want to date another guy? Jay, don't be jealous. He's nothing like you, and it's just one night. I will only love you, and I don't feel anything for him, but I want to do this. I already told him yes. I hope you're not mad. I wasn't angry. Crazy was a much lesser word to describe how I felt at that moment. Luckily, all my military training allowed me to remain calm as I assessed the situation and quickly came up with an idea. "Oh, you already agreed. Now I understand," I said, picking up my cell phone and dialing the number of one of the ladies who had been stalking me for months. Still holding Trisha on my lap, playing with my hair, I dialed the number. "Hey, Angel, it's Jay," I said, watching the confused expression on my wife's face. "I'm fine, thank you. Hey, is this offer still valid as of Friday night? This is true? Great. My wife, well, she just told me she wants an open marriage and I immediately thought of you. It will be fun. See you this week and we can plan everything. Bye." Trisha stopped fiddling with my hair and looked at me with narrowed eyes. "Who is Angel?" "One of my clients. We get along really well and she makes me laugh. So we're going out on Friday night, just like you." Strangely, she instantly became angry, jumped off my lap and started screaming at me. I couldn't believe that she didn't see the hypocrisy in her actions, and I just listened to her as she continued to yell at me. "I can't believe you're dating some girl. Probably a slut, I'm sure. I won't tolerate you cheating on me and seeing other girls, Jay. This is bullshit." Trying not to laugh, I asked, "But is it normal that you're dating a guy from work?" "It's different." "How is this different?" "It will just be a night together to have some fun." "Well, that's what I'll be doing too." "Look, Trisha, I never wanted to be with another woman until you told me a minute ago that you wanted to be with another man. Do you really think I would let you go on a date and just sit here alone?" Looking at me as if she had just lost her beloved puppy, I continued. "You started this, and we are going to finish it. You go on a date with Brian, and I'll go on a date with Angel. Whatever happens, happens, and I hope we can stay faithful and married after Friday night. I'll sleep in the guest room, and sex between us is out of the question, until I decide if I want to stay married to you. The thought of you wanting to be with another man hurts me too much to even want to touch you. Right now, I don't feel anything for you." Trisha was crying and angry at the same time. Normally, I would have hugged her and tried to console her, but not after this. I waited a few minutes for her to calm down and continued, "Next week, you and I will go to counseling to find out why I'm not enough for you. And maybe, just maybe, if you can make me understand why I'm not enough for you, then maybe we can stay married. But let me be clear, whatever happens now, everything depends on you. The thought of you even wanting to be with another man makes me want to divorce you right now, but I'm old enough to handle it. Depending on what happens on Friday night and how we feel after dating, other people will determine our future. Just remember, Trisha, no matter what happens, it's all up to you and your decision to go on that date with Brian. I'm not going to cancel my plans, and you'll have to accept the outcome, whatever it may be." Still crying and confused, she said nothing and left the room. About 10 minutes later, I heard her talking on her cell phone to her sister, which is what I expected. I think her sister told her she was crazy because an hour later, she came back to me acting sweet and innocent again. However, I was wary and would not let her attempts at manipulation get to me. "Honey, I may have made a mistake going on a date with Brian. I'm going to cancel this. I don't want to be with anyone else. It's up to you, Trisha, but you've already started what I intend to finish. You can go out or stay home, but I'm not canceling my date with Angel. You already told me how much you wanted this and intentionally hurt me. The only option for me now is to see where this leads. Maybe you're right, and we need to start dating other people and have a real open marriage. You must understand that your choices always have consequences. It was your decision, and remember, you agreed to his date before you talked to me. It hurt, and I can't forgive it." She tried to explain everything again. "Jay, this wouldn't be a date. You have to believe me. This would be after hours. It's not that important. I'll cancel it. Can't we just go out together on Friday night? I ignored her pleas, grabbed a beer, and headed out to the patio to calm down a little. I slept in the guest room that night, and for the rest of the week, after listening to Trisha cry all evening. The next day, her sister Helen called me. "Jay, are you really dating another woman this week? You can't do this to Trisha. She loves you so much." Helen, it's obvious that you don't know the whole situation, or you haven't been told the whole story. Your little sister agreed to go on a date with a coworker without even discussing it with me. She came home and announced that she was going to go on this date, not caring about my feelings or our marriage. I'm definitely going to go on a date and we'll see where we are then. I was monogamous and never even thought about being with another woman since the day I met your sister. Honestly, I love her more than anything in the world, but I'm not sure I want to stay married to a woman who wants other men. This will be difficult to come to terms with. Do you understand this, Helen? Yes, Jay, I understand. I had no idea she was so stupid. Please be patient with her. She probably doesn't even realize she's hurting you and thinks it's no big deal. Helen, I'm being patient. I haven't kicked her ass yet, but she'll have to live with the consequences, no matter what they lead to. Helen spoke to Trisha again and finally got her to understand what she had done to our relationship and how seriously her decision to date another man was affecting our marriage and my feelings. Trisha apologized and begged me to change my mind and cancel our dates, but now I was on a mission to even out the situation. Let her see what she's done and find out if we can stay together. Hearing that your wife wants to date another man is something I hope no other man ever has to hear. And please don't judge my decisions until it happens to you. If this happens, tell me how I should remain patient and be forgiving. No way. I planned on having Angel pick me up that evening because I wanted to introduce her to my wife and make sure she knew it was okay to date a married man. On Friday night, she didn't want to go out with her work buddy, so I insisted that she fulfill her obligations to her boyfriend. She didn't like that I called him her boyfriend and tried to reassure me that he was just a friend. Trisha was dressed beautifully for her date with Brian. She was wearing a cute dress and looked pretty as usual. At least she didn't try to dress up and look sexy for this date, which gave me a little hope for us. She was nervous about meeting Angel, but I insisted that she meet my date here to reassure her that we were now in an open marriage. She argued with me about an open marriage, but I ignored her. I acted like a jerk, but in my opinion, it was all justified. Trisha's eyes bulged when Angel walked in at 6 p.m. Angel was the complete opposite of Trisha. Trisha was a petite girl, and Angel is 180 centimeters tall and is in great shape thanks to all the training. Her large C-cup breasts were bulging out from under her dress, and she looked amazing. Standing next to me, I was wearing my tight sports jacket, which showed off my muscular body. I even forced Trisha to take some photos of us together before we left, which really pissed her off. We made a cute couple and could pose for the cover of a workout magazine. I saw Trisha seething with anger and jealousy, but she couldn't help it. Finally, she realized that she had uncorked a bottle that she might not be able to close. I laughed to myself as I introduced them to each other and heard Angel say, "Trisha, it's so nice to meet you. Jay told me all about your open marriage and I'm happy for you. I've been hunting this handsome guy for the past year and I was so excited when he called me on Sunday. I heard you have a new boyfriend too. Glad for you." I could see Trisha's head about to burst into flames, but she couldn't answer quickly enough because the doorbell rang and she realized it was Brian. She got all nervous when I opened the door and let him inside. I was a little surprised to see who she was dating. Brian was about 170 centimeters tall and almost as tall as Trisha in her 10-centimeter heels. He was not an attractive man. I had no idea what she was thinking. He weighed about 70 kilos, his hair was falling out, and he clearly wasn't a physical threat, but he was still a problem in our relationship. I think the poor guy almost shit his pants when he saw my massive body towering over him. His hand seemed small, cold, and clammy. When for fun, I shook his bony hand hard, a crunch was heard. After the bony handshake, I said, My wife is ready for your date. Have fun." He simply nodded and looked at Trisha for help. Angel and I were laughing as we left, and I knew Trisha was about to lose her mind. I didn't feel bad for a second, and hoped that everything would end well. Coming home. We got to my house around 6 a.m. the next day, and Angel dropped me off. We had a very warm and long kiss goodbye in the driveway, which I was sure Trisha saw from the window. Angel and I had a nice dinner, an evening of dancing at one of her favorite clubs, a walk on the beach after the club closed, and then breakfast before she took me home. It was an interesting night. She was fun to be with. She was a great dancer, had a great sense of humor, was sexy as hell, and was an amazing kisser. We didn't go beyond a kiss, but we had a chemistry that I knew could lead to a very exciting relationship. However, Trisha was the only one I thought about that entire night. As we danced, I thought about my wife. Being on the beach brought back memories of Trisha and I in Hawaii. Every moment, with the exception of the goodnight kiss, was filled with thoughts of Trisha. With a happy and sad heart, I walked into my home, wondering if it would ever be my home again. Trisha was awake and waiting for me when I entered the house. As soon as she saw me, she greeted me with the words, "Nice kiss. What else have you been doing all night?" Ignoring her remark, I said, "Good morning, Trisha. How was your date? Brian seems like a good guy." "Did you have sex with her?" She howled in an angry voice. "Trisha, it was just our first date. You should have known me better." "First date? Are you seeing her again?" "I don't know. Are you dating your boyfriend again?" "Of course not. I don't want him. I want you." "Well, you wanted it last week. What changed?" I realized I was an idiot and thought I could go out and just have fun with a guy, just like I would with one of my friends. "You know, just hanging out, but you had to pull out that slutty supermodel and shove it in my face," she said, crying into one of the napkins scattered on the couch. She must have sat there all night, crying and waiting for me to return. It was clear that she now realized what she had done, and perhaps she really did see him as just someone to spend time with, like she would with one of her friends. I mean, this guy wasn't a threat, and maybe I overreacted. I'm still stunned by the idea that any woman would think that a husband would be okay with allowing his wife to date another guy, even if it was innocent. I took her in my arms and just hugged her. "Trisha, I love you, but I cannot live with a woman who, for whatever reason, wants to be with other men. I will not put up with a cheater, and if this happens again, you lie to me, or do it behind my back. I will throw you out and divorce you on the spot. You understand?" She hugged me and kissed me. "Yes, baby. I would never cheat on you, and I never wanted to be with anyone else but you." This was different. "You still haven't told me how your date with Brian went." "What's happened?" "It wasn't a date. What you did with that Barbie doll was a date. We had dinner, but he was so shocked to see you and that you had hurt his arm that he drove me home right after dinner. It wasn't fun, and I had a terrible time. He dropped me off around 8 p.m., and I was here thinking about what you did to her all night. And then I saw you kissing her like that." She started sobbing again. I hugged her again and told her everything would be okay. I actually laughed to myself thinking about how the little guy met her muscular man husband. After I shook his hand, I was quite confident that he would act like a gentleman that evening, which was another reason why I was looking forward to meeting him before Angel and I left. "Trisha, let's forget about last night for now, but I'm serious about counseling. I still need to understand some things, and you also need to understand my feelings. If we can get through this, and I can trust you again, then I won't see Angel or any of the other women who keep asking me out." Her eyes widened as she realized that Angel wasn't the only threat. We spent the day in bed making sweet love and getting reacquainted. I started sleeping in my own bed again and was on my way back to sanity. The consultation was a response to our situation. Mrs. Williams was sensitive and caring. She actually had to explain to Trisha how her actions made me feel unimportant and hurt. Trisha didn't look at Brian as a man, but only as a friend. She tried to explain that she never said it was a date, just an evening with her friend Brian. She tried to explain that it was no different than her doing the same thing to one of her friends. Mrs. Williams finally made Trisha understand that in a monogamous relationship, you can't spend time with other men and abandon your husband. Trisha tried to complain about how vindictive I was being with this woman who was clearly much sexier and more attractive. She said it was unfair and that it was wrong. Mrs. Williams explained everything from my point of view and offered several points of view that reassured her. When it was my turn to speak, I explained that I now understood what her intentions were, but I still did not agree with her spending time with other men. I looked at Trisha and said loudly, "Trisha, I love you, and you broke my heart when you told me you were dating Brian. My fight-or-flight military training kicked in, and I decided to fight. If you were going to date other men, I would respond by dating other women. I never meant to do this, and I'm sorry it happened this way. But it was your fault. In the future, if you do something like this again, you will receive divorce papers within a week. I will not put up with a cheating wife. I understand that you didn't see this as a date, and that's why I'm willing to work on our marriage. But don't ever try that again." After this outburst, everyone became quiet and everything changed. Trisha was more in tune with my feelings, and we talked more and turned this ridiculous event into a stronger marriage. We continued therapy for several months and found new ways to keep each other as the main focus in our relationship. Angel was understanding and even called Trisha to tell her that she would back off and not pursue her husband. But if she ever wanted to leave him, she would be happy to step in. Trisha realized what she had and how quickly she could lose me to another woman. She never gave me any reason to be jealous or even think about being with a man again. She now understood the meaning of dating and that there are consequences to making the wrong choices. Brian and Trisha remained friends, but Brian was too scared to ever take another step or be anything more than friends at work. I realized that sometimes women cannot understand normal thinking. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.